Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and welcome to the Holly Press Fibers podcast. This is episode 1 of our knitting podcast, and I hope you join along. I just want this to be fun and enjoyable, relaxing, where we talk about the things that we're making and what we want to be making. So I'm going to get started with what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Stillness sweater, and it's by Alicia Plummer. It is, I think it's a worsted weight, but I made it holding DK and mohair double. I love it. It's super easy to just toss on. It's like wearing a sweatshirt. It's very, very soft. Despite saying it's very soft, I determined that mohair and I are not besties. This was my first project using mohair, and while it's super soft, it's also super itchy in my opinion. So I have a long sleeve tee on underneath that makes this wearable. Definitely love this pattern. It's like a broken rib stitch up top that just goes into your regular stockinette throughout. So very comfy. The other thing I'm wearing is my shawl by Martina Behm. And I don't have it backwards, that's good. So it is just a very pretty design. I actually made this as part of a club that I participated in several years ago. It was one of her strict meek clubs, and this is called the Plum Leaf, if I didn't already say that. The yarn came with the club. It's really awesome for like a sock set, because it's a mini plus a full skein. I swapped out the mini. The mini that came with this was electric purple, and I would not wear that. So I swapped out the mini, and I really like the design. Super easy to just toss on and keeps you warm. So the next thing is what I'm working on, right? So I have some socks, actually mostly socks, but I don't have any on the needles right now to show you. Okay, so I don't have any on the needles that I'm working on to show you. I do have socks, but we'll get to that later. But I am working on a blanket. It's my first ever blanket. I never had any desire to make a blanket. I never thought I'd make a blanket, but my son saw these colorways in the dye pan, and I wanted to make him something with them. So I'm making a blanket. So we've got, this is the Dead Marshes colorway that's going around each one. It's just your standard like mitered square type of blanket. He picked out all of the colors, and I've just been arranging them in a pattern. It's a big blanket, and it's gonna keep getting bigger, but yeah, this has just been bringing me a lot of joy. It's been a lot of fun to work on. He went to college back in January, so he moved out, and I'm not sure this is going to be the most useful blanket because his room is very warm and he's a very warm guy. So a DK weight blanket, twin size, may not be the most useful thing, but I know he'll enjoy it, he'll love it, he'll cherish it, he'll take good care of it. I pause in saying that because he has said that he would like to get a cat. I know it's not something that will happen right away. It's, oh, there's a ways, but he house sat for a little kitty, and he adores this kitty. He loves it when he gets to house sit for them. So I think when I hand this off, it'll be with the caveat that he keeps it safe from any future kitty cats. But yeah, definitely enjoying it. If not woven in ends give you anxiety, you might want to look away, because I have quite a few. I've done about half of them, but it's definitely building. I need to sit down and get this back under control because I don't want to have to do that at the end, right? That won't be fun. So I've really been enjoying this, more so than I truly thought I would, a blanket. Um, but I can also point to Mega of the Skeins of Dreams podcast. She is doing a blanket make along, and she's calling it Blankets of Dreams, MAL, and that is her hashtag that she's using for her make along. And I figured, I've got a blanket. I'm making a blanket. So I think I'm going to be joining in on that as well. It's a works in progress or new ones, and you don't have to have it finished by the end of the make along. So I'm all in. That sounds awesome. She's a relatively new podcaster. She started last fall, and I binge watched all of her episodes. She does a lot of garments and other items as well. She's very talented, and it's a very good podcast. So I highly recommend her if you haven't seen her yet. My YouTube algorithm has been very sweet lately. It's showing me lots of first-time episodes. Usually it waits until there's like 3,000 followers before they show it to me. Sorry if you hear my puppy dog. She just walked in here and she's whining. Sorry. So yeah, there have been quite a few that I've just been watching their first episodes. There's Melissa Reynolds, who is a knitter she's in North Dakota, and she does some stunning work. She's got some sweaters that are jaw-dropping. And then another one that I've been watching is Seedling Stitch, and she's Vancouver, BC. I know it's British Columbia. I'm not positive if it's Vancouver, but her stuff, she's rocking it. She decided she wanted to learn how to knit, and she went to her local yarn store and took a class and learned how to knit, and like by her third project, she was doing things I haven't done. And so she's made some really cute like stuffies. They're adorable. And then she's got like an intarsia project that I'm like, I haven't tried intarsia and I've been knitting for years, but I encourage you to check them out as well. So there's a couple of recommendations tossed in there with what I'm working on. Let's see, next up I have a couple things that I'm going to be starting. So I was planning on starting with the Aster Tee by Pip and Pin, and I will try to put up a picture here of it. It is very gorgeous. It's a tee that has just a pretty color work type design up top, and I bought the pattern and I'm going to make the pattern. I'm just not going to make it yet. I'm still working with my colors. So it's like hers is a dark main color, and then the minis are all light. And you either need that dark with light or vice versa with a light main color and dark minis. And I'm still working on it. I haven't got it just right. Hers is like perfect, and I want mine to be equally as perfect, and I'm not there yet. So in the meantime, another top came across my Instagram feed, and it's by Tamy Gore, and I have loved her designs but never made one. And her recent one that came across was the Trelawny sweater. Trelawny top. So the Trelawny top, and it is gorgeous. It is a like very delicate leaf pattern. Again, put in a photo here. It's just very stunning, and I snapped up that pattern. I bought it, kicked up my yarn, cast it on, and just got going right on it. And I finished the first section, and I went, not as tidy as I was hoping. That's okay. When I'm done, I'll block it and try to make it a little tidier. It's all good. Went on to the second section. That's not what I was hoping for. And I figured that's okay. It's totally cool. When I'm done, I can just go through and weave in, and I guess you can catch the hint that I had some holes that I didn't want. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop there, call it a night, go to bed. By the time I got in bed, I was like, Elizabeth, you are like 1 hour into this project and you already have 2 things that you're not happy about. So the next morning I woke up, ripped that sucker out, started it over, and I'm already through the first section and it's spot on. Now I should have said all of this was my bad because I read the directions and then I went on autopilot. I didn't follow the directions. And so then I got to the second part and read the directions. I've got this. I know what I'm doing. Now, I should have watched the little video clip that reminded me how to do that little stitch, but I didn't. So yeah, now it's looking spot on and looking great. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be great, and I will show it to you next time. I don't have it here with me. Now, before I started the Trelawny top, I was giving myself kind of a hard time because I do have quite a bit of UFOs. Those unfinished projects are still sitting in a basket in a cabinet that I don't look in. And that's where they're gonna stay. You know, I thought about them and I was like, off the top of my head, I have 2 winter sweaters that I'm totally not interested in knitting right now. We're going into spring here in Montana and I've already got this heavy project I'm working on. I don't need any other heavy projects. Plus, I really want to dedicate a lot of my time to this and get it taken care of. I don't think I said, I started this last October and my goal is to have it done like within a year. So sometime October to December this year is when I'm hoping to have this done by. I did the math. If I do 1 square every 3 days, I should have it done on time. Is that doable? Totally. Is it gonna happen? That's a totally different question. So we will see how that turns out. But back to the UFOs. I got those 2 sweaters. Not interested. Then I went through the rest of them. Not interested in that sock. Not interested in that sock. So I decided I'm okay with that. And I'm going to cast on something else. And I'm okay with that. And that's how the Trelawny top came into existence. Next up are my finished objects. And one of them is a pair of socks. So I've got these, and if you follow along on my Instagram, it's Holly Press Fibers, you've seen these. These are my Dweem within a Dweem. They're my Princess Bride socks, and just your standard, probably 15-row ribbing down to an eye of partridge heel, and then I did little stripy toe decreases just for the fun of it. So I did this one, and then my other one is a single sock. And this is on a sock blocker that we got at the Loopy U in Fort Collins, Colorado. My family bought it for me as a gift. I think they still sell them online. But this colorway is Elvish Singing. It's part of my Hobbit-inspired colorways. I did a Advent 2 years ago, so 2020, that was all Hobbit yarns, and this was one of them. So I've got a, again, 15-row. This colorway is They All Left the Path, down to Elvish Singing with the Eye of Partridge heel. And then I did stripy toe decrease again, just using both of the minis. There is more of good in you than you know, and they all left the path. So all of the colorways were references to the book, quotes out of the book. And I don't have the second sock yet on the needles. That's not a problem. I was going to say I'm good with second socks, but I already told you about my UFOs, all the ones I don't care about. This one I know will happen because I really love the color, and yeah, it'll be good. I'll get it done. But those are my finished objects, so I guess I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I'm the dyer behind Holly Press Fibers, and I started knitting when I was a little kid. I actually have the first project. Just a second. I'll go get it. Are you ready? This is Cooper. Isn't he cute? I made this bonnet for him because all squirrels need outerwear, right? We were coming back from a road trip to Portland, Oregon, and I'm sure my mom was like, 2 days in the car with this girl? She's learning how to knit. So I knit this little bonnet, and it's even got ear holes. I can totally guarantee my mom did the ear holes, but I did do garter stitch and stockinette stitch. That was my first knitting project. I was a first grader in the back of the lime green Mean Machine, which was our VW bus, because we were cool like that. No, we weren't cool like that. But, so yeah, that was how I learned how to knit. And I didn't really knit much through my teens then. Did I say I did that in first grade? So yeah, I learned how to knit in first grade, and I didn't really knit when I was a teenager. Picked it back up again sometime in my 20s, early 20s, and just continued with several things that are no longer in my house, so I don't have those to show you. But I picked up yarn dyeing in 2017, and it was just a weekend hobby. I actually decided to do it because I wasn't finding the exact shade of green that I wanted at my local yarn store or online, so I thought, I'll just buy the supplies and I'll dye the color that I want. So I bought the supplies and I dyed some green yarn, and it was not the color of green I wanted. But it's okay, I still used it. I made a cardigan with it. And that just made me go, you know what, I really enjoy this. This is a lot of fun. It was my weekend hobby. And it kind of grew into my half day or every other day hobby. Just kept growing from there. Last year, right around this time, I actually went full-time with Holly Press Fibers. I told the clients that I was working with that I was going to be quitting, and I did. And it's been great. I've been really enjoying it. So it's probably more than you wanted to know, but that's how I got started. So, but I think that's everything, guys. And thanks for joining me. I'm very glad that I have the opportunity to do this and hopefully get to know some of you and just have a place where we can chat about the craft that we love. So happy knitting, and thank you, and I hope to see you again in a few weeks. Bye!